It looks like this week MAGA has some style. What do you think? Do you feel it? Do you feel it?
Yes.
All right. We have some great news coming up this week. Number one, 92,000 new followers on Truth Social in the last 7 days. That is massive. Think about it for a second. Average size of an NFL stadium, about 65,000. So imagine filling that up, emptying it out, filling it up with another 30,000. That's what's going on. Truth Social. Truth Social is best understood as a bomb of truth on the nation. I'm going to show you something in this next minute that most people never get to see. I'm going to show you the gear house of what goes on in Truth Social. Why is it so powerful? How does it help Republicans, conservatives across the nation? It's because there are news writers that are continually churning out the content. They're doing it 24/7. They're doing it with quality articles, and they're flooding the internet with the truth, with investigative research, with reporting. These are the ones. There's at least 90 plus on Truth Social, and they're not being hamstrung. They're allowed to write and to produce their stuff freely and not be censored.
Awesome.
There's a lot of them, and the quality continues to get better. The depth of their reporting gets better. This is what's going on behind the scenes, and this is why Truth Social is becoming such a juggernaut for President Trump, because you can't stop it. And it's a reason to praise God. Why? Because every good gift and every perfect gift comes down from above, from the Father of lights. So, we also have some other great news to fire us up, and that is Hollywood Writers' Strike Day 106. If you were to ask me today, Lawrence, what's your favorite number? Today, my favorite number, 106, all right? And tomorrow it's going to be 107, all right? And this is just what's so wonderful is they're not able to comment anything. God has shut the mouths of the writers and the late night hosts. We also are winning the culture war. What do I mean by culture war? The arts, the music, the movies, the television. Take a look what's going on musically. Right now, the #1 song in America on iTunes is a factory worker from Central Virginia. His name, Oliver Anthony. What's the song he's singing? It's called Rich Men North of Richmond. But more importantly, what's he singing about? What's the pull? His song is about how the government wants more and more control of your life. The government doesn't know what's best. The people actually know what's best. He goes on to sing about the bad economy, and very interestingly, he mentions how the government seems to be more interested in pursuing minors and children on islands than helping working class America. This is the #1 song. So conservative ideas and values are being sung about. They're rising to the top of the music charts.
Woo!
We're also winning in the polls. You might say, well, how? What's going on? Well, let's look. And this change, by the way, began around, I would say, March of 2023 is right when you started seeing every poll taken is swinging conservative. It's right when Truth Social started coming into her own, and right when Elon Musk got rid of most of his censorship people on his platform. Let me give you, for instance, a new Gallup poll, just the 12th of August. What did it say? Nearly 70% of U.S. adults say that trans athletes should only be allowed to compete on sports teams that correspond with their biological sex. Okay, but look at this last phrase. Compared with 62% in 2021. What way is the public going? They're going conservative, from 62 to 70. Another recent poll. Oh my, I didn't know that President Trump liked to surf. Did you guys know that? And look at that wave he's riding. Do you know what the wave is? Ah, my friends, that wave is the wave of independent votes that is going to carry him to victory in 2024. What are the independents thinking about? Well, 63, nearly two-thirds of all independents in the latest YouGov CBS poll say the January 6th indictments are intended to stop President Trump's campaign. They're not about justice, they're not about fairness, they are about one thing: fraud and fraudulent behavior trying to stop President Trump. That's what the independents think right now. Question, is this 63% going to go higher or lower? It's going to go higher. Why? Because the truth is getting out there, like this next piece. On the 8th of August, more and more of these videos are coming out of what really happened on January 6th. You have a police officer, and he handed over his little camcorder, and he says in the video, yeah, we're going to go undercover as Antifa in the crowd. Doing what? What do you advocate? Why are you running with Antifa and their kind of thing? What are you prompting the crowd to do? These kind of videos are going to make independents go, what really happened on January 6th? And perhaps the biggest news of the whole week, on the 10th, we found that the January 6th committee deleted and disposed of all their evidence. Highly illegal. Why did they do this? Because President Trump's legal team now has the authority to subpoena. And they don't want to have to be put in front of a court and commit perjury, because they had no case and no standing for what they did. Highly illegal. Anyone with observation skills know these guys are crooked as the day is long. Other good news, meanwhile, out on the campaign trail, what's going on? Well, we have crowds as far as the eye can see, lined up just to watch President Trump buy a pork chop, I believe it was, a pork chop on a stick. Here's President Trump with the same crowd, pre-pork chop or post-pork chop, I don't know, but the people look happy. The people are happy. Here's President Trump up in New Hampshire at a small town hall going on there. Here's about a week earlier, President Trump setting the indoor arena record over in Erie, Pennsylvania. I think things are looking pretty good for President Trump right now. The people love him. And he has some issues swirling about. And how can we remember them? Because now we have 4 indictments, right? So just think of these photos. We got Stormy Daniels, the Mar-a-Lago documents, January 6th, and the perfect phone call. All right? So that's what's going on. How is America interpreting it? Well, look at what Newsweek had to say about it. Newsweek on the 2nd ran an opinion piece that says these indictments are Trump's rocket fuel. Okay, so it's endearing him to the American populace. How do you know that? Okay, look what's going on in TikTok. Look at the kind of videos, the spoof videos for fun that they're running. Okay, here's Trump being indicted for the Hiroshima bombing. And the way the little clip, it's like in the spirit of the old Vines videos. There's a little music background. In this case, it's Elton John. He's singing, "Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer." Right? And then President Trump, they found an old video clip, and he goes, "Wow, I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time." And the clip is over. Okay? And so they're running these like, and it's making fun of how unfair the indictments are, how bogus they are, how ridiculous they are. And even the clips are ridiculous. Here's one. Trump finding out he's being indicted for the 1431 murder of Joan of Arc. There's more. Here's Trump being indicted for the shootout at the OK Corral. And it has the same video, and he stands there going, I didn't know about that. This is the first I've heard about it. Here he is, Trump finding out he's being indicted for the McDonald's ice cream machine being broken. And so, you know, humor always has a little bit of truth. And the truth is, these indictments are ridiculous.
Yeah, they are.
And, whoa, how did that get in here? I don't know who put that. Isn't that beautiful? You know, on Times Square. Yeah, the big Jumbotron. Okay. Now, on a more serious note, something fascinating happened this week. Now you have the top 2 Republican candidates together calling for a dismantling of the FBI. I've never heard of anything like that in history. Very interesting what's going on. Also, on a serious note, you had a very powerful U.S. Senator, Ted Cruz, and he decided to reach up a notch and said, you know, if Biden is guilty of bribery, he should go to prison. So now you have top senators saying, they're not using words like investigation or even impeachment. Now they're dropping the P word, prison, which was very notable. Very notable. Also, what's very positive is people are now onto the fakeness of the mainstream media. What do you mean? Take a look at how fake they are. This is ABC, CBS, and NBC for the first week of August. Look at their coverage, how in the tank they are for liberal, left, and Democrat causes. President Trump's third indictment gets 332 minutes. The Biden business scandals involving Hunter, cocaine Hunter, and selling out kind of whatever influence to foreign governments, 4 minutes. And these are the media institutions we grew up with, that we used to trust. That's how crazy biased it is. Even Fox pointed that out. We also have some positive things regarding the 2024 general election coming down. What's positive? Well, this week, Biden, like no other, is alienating his base of voters. Here we have Biden on the beach. What's the optics of what's going down? Well, it's the fires in Hawaii. We have nearly, well, at this point, over 100 dead, over 1,000 still missing, and likely dead. The worst fires in Hawaii history and possible U.S. history. And when Biden was asked about Hawaii suffering while tanning on the beach, do you know what he said?
No comment.
No comment. He is going to alienate millions. He might have kissed 2 million votes goodbye because people remember that kind of thing. Also, very positive what's going on is Rumble. Rumble, the counterpart to YouTube. Rumble being predicated on free speech and no censorship. Look what's happening over there. Rumble had the #1, #2, and #4 live streams in the nation at 11:15 a.m. this Monday. And guess what those were? Those were newscasts. That was conservative newscast rising to the top. So Rumble doing well, that they will end up bringing great conservative truth. Also, a big positive, and we'll keep putting it up here because it keeps climbing. Sound of Freedom now up to 173 million on their little budget of 14 million.
Yeah.
And what's really great to think about is their impact is going to double because they're eventually going to be released all over again on Netflix or Hulu or Disney. Well, probably not Disney Plus. Probably not Disney Plus. Okay. Other great news out of Louisiana this week. A new law was passed in Louisiana on the 3rd of August. What did it do? It required all classrooms in the state to display the phrase, "In God We Trust." And it had to be at least the size of, I think, a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, could be larger. But the children of Louisiana are going to be blessed by remembering that God is there and we can place our trust in Him.
That's awesome.
Another wonderful video is coming out about President Trump. It's called The Trump I Know. Going to be released on the 27th of this month. It looks like it's very well done. So this will be something to really look forward to and to get. Also, we have coming out, I believe it's, September 17th, Mark Levin's new book. However, Instagram, both Instagram and Facebook have banned any ads about it. And it's strong. It's brass knuckles.
Yeah.
It's called The Democrat Party Hates America. And so Mr. Levin's going to break it down. He is quite a scholar. Some of you might be asking the question, but Lawrence, is RFK Jr. doing anything lately? I'm glad you asked. Why? Because RFK Jr. is here, he's there, he's everywhere. Here he is right now on the 14th of August talking to Tucker Carlson. What's he doing? Oh, RFK Jr. is breaking down the Ukraine, biolabs, who killed JFK, how Dr. Fauci's U.S. bioweapons research caused the COVID pandemic. He is dropping truth bombs everywhere. Probably the best takeaway quote from his whole interview. It was a great interview. You should watch it. He says, "We have biolabs in Ukraine because we are making bioweapons."
Yes.
So, wonderful interview. Tucker Carlson running wild over there on Twitter, now known as X. Also, he didn't stop there. No, RFK Jr. was over at Megyn Kelly's show, a very large podcast. What does he say in the show? He says, well, a $200 billion enterprise would have collapsed if Fauci admitted that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin were effective against COVID. So he is beginning to let the nation know that ivermectin really was the deal. I read an article, and I'll try to bring it next week, that it was 74% effective against COVID deaths alone, just the ivermectin. And there's Dr. Fauci again. And no, those aren't real handcuffs, but we can dream, can't we? The news here is that Senator Rand Paul was getting nowhere with the Department of Justice. So, in his wisdom, he called upon the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. to launch an investigation. And D.C. Drano pointed this out, that this is the new route to take. When you can no longer go to the FBI, you can no longer trust the Department of Justice's lawyers. What do? You find a local DA to begin the investigation, to try to finally get some justice. And Senator Rand Paul, pulling no punches, he says, I don't think, referring to Fauci, I don't think there's ever been a clearer case of perjury in the history of government testimony. And I don't say that lightly. America's going to remember this. Why? Because the FDA used to put out stuff like this against medicines like ivermectin. You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. This is the kind of thing they were telling the American people. And you have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, yep, doctors and pharmacists were threatened. They would lose their licenses if they prescribed ivermectin to treat COVID.
Yep.
So more truth is coming out about what really happened there. Also in the news this week, the big Mike Lindell election summit. A lot of big names, some big ones that I didn't realize before were going to be there. We have Tina Peters, a hero out of Colorado. Laura Loomer, incredible investigative journalist, a real fighter, a real warrior. And Lou Dobbs, which is great to see Lou going to be there. More that's going to focus on elections in America, that's going to get the public interest. January 16th is a date to circle in your calendars. Why? That's when the trial begins on the Virginia County election official who is using Connix poll chief software to help rig the 2020 election. So there are court cases that are still in play, some coming up. You have Catherine Engelbrecht, if I'm saying her name right. You look at her recent post, she's like, yeah, next week I meet with congressional investigators. I'm going to participate in depositions. We're getting closer to launching several new big projects and file strong responses in 2 court cases. So they are continuing to press forward. True the vote, people are. It's wonderful. In fact, when they were interviewed on the War Room, they said, man, we're looking forward to President Trump's January 6th trial. Why? Because we'll probably be subpoenaed, and we would be happy to tell all of what we know happened in the 2020 election. Why? He says, Greg said, we have it all.
We have it all.
So he does have quite a bit, and it looks like we're going to get to find out in court what that quite a bit is.
That's right.
And then lastly, on a high note, Tucker Carlson continues to drop truth all over the internet. Here he is interviewing Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. Why is this important? Because the mainstream media had crushed the interview. Fox fired him before they would let the first interview go. So what does Tucker do? He decides to interview him again in his, I guess this is in his barn, but it's his house in Maine. And for 55 straight minutes, no ads, ad-free. They're just going after hard truth about the January 6th debacle. What did Police Chief Stephen Sun say? Well, he said, General Milley and acting Secretary of Defense Chris Miller were definitely highly involved in what was covered up on January 6th. He also underlined again that for 71 minutes, Speaker Pelosi refused to allow them to bring in the National Guard to help out the police of Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Why is it also important that Tucker released it in this way? Because 12 million people have already seen this video, as opposed to the paltry 3 million he would have had he still been at Fox News. And these 12 million that watch this video are going to vote in primaries.
That's right.
And so we have many, many things to thank God about. Let's give the Lord a hand clap this week.
Thank you, Lord.